you have some people with you in the room there?
No, and I actually kind of advertise it that way. I told my friends I'd be very happy just to talk to an empty room. I'm not joking.
Oh, you got it. You got it.
I don't mind being in front of people, but I don't know. This is like a big step for a lot of different things. So right now, yeah. Anyway, whatever. It's all good.
Has your hashtag not all cults, did that always relate to this, or did that come out of something else?
Yeah, that was an organic response of what I realized I was doing and wanted versus what I saw going on in the American culture. So I'm entertained by it.
In general, cults are seems to be used as a pejorative and put down. But I've seen a lot of great things with various cults, and a lot of horrible things as well. But that there's kind of like this knee-jerk putting down of cults. And maybe I use the word cult in a more general form sometimes. Cult, culture. Anyhow, even the formalized cults, I've gotten benefit from them. I participated.
Right. Yeah. My background is conservative, non-denominational Christian. So, but a very dogmatic in its perspectives and closed-cultured. So it took me, it was a little bit of a learning curve to get out of that mindset for a while. But let's see. Trying to get it so that I can share to you on your computer. Otherwise, it might be kind of a miserable call to listen into. I will talk, and I'll try and talk slow because I know I talk fast.
Thank you. That's one of the things I like about recordings is that I can slow the pace.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so a few things here. Why isn't it giving me...
So also, I'm in a car, I'm driving, so a lot of visuals that you share, I'm not going to get.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I hear what you're saying. I'm having a UI challenge on my computer here. Okay, infinity mirror. Avoid the affinity mirrors. Are you seeing anything? I know that you can't really look at the phone, but well, just curious if you're able to see.
I pulled over right now, so I see what looks like
a presentation,
a screen in the actual room, but not like a screen share.
Ah, that's what's happening. Okay. Yeah. This might be a short call, Shell. I'll run through it. I'll still run through it. Okay.
I will listen to your introduction.
All righty. Well, it was lovely that you joined. Thank you. I'm sorry that this is kind of not going as I planned, but here we go. It's been a while since I had to deal with technical stuff.
Sorry for you.
But yeah, well, you'll see the online version, which will be much better because you'll actually be able to see the slides. But I think I'm just going to go ahead and go if you don't mind. Are you good with that?
It's fine for me.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to pretend that there's people here in my room with me. So I will also feel free to unmute yourself and chime in if you feel the desire. So, hello, my name is Marie Walter, and I'm here representing Natural Thinker, who is the voice of the conglomerate of the collective zeitgeist as interpreted through memes. So thank you so much for being here. And I do want to let you know that I have a vision that the first few cult members, like maybe the first 5,000 cult members, or maybe within the first 6 months, whatever the cap gets to be, gets a special I was there at the beginning cult badge. So Shell, thank you for being here. Thank you everyone else. It's great to see you guys. So as we get going, first, welcome to the Not All Cults community call. This is our first one, and I hope to have at least maybe a monthly, if not more regular meetings going forward. And so congratulations for following whatever it was that you brought you here to this meeting. I hope it's a fun time, and I hope it's rewarding, and I hope it's something that we can replicate in the future. So let's begin. All right. Our agenda, why I'm here, why you're here, why we're here, and then what to do about it. So why am I here? I'm here to get you here. I'm here to share about an idea that gives hope. I'm here to share about an idea that gives hope, is fun to envision, is practical and feasible, and can have a huge impact on everyone everywhere. And even if nothing more than a fancy dream by a group of eclectic souls, at least there's commercial viability that can be exploited to our best capitalistic capabilities. Hey, Shell, do you mind muting your mic?
Hold on.
Thank you. So if nothing else, there's a fancy dream that a group can get behind and gather the commercial viability that can be exploited through our best capitalistic capabilities behind this great idea. So I'll get to the crux of how this all works and what this cult idea is about. But first, I want to know who is here today and why. And Shell, we have you on the call. I heard already that you are on the road, so I'm going to let you be safe and just introduce that you're coming from Canada, and I know that you have some film industry behind you. If you want to chime in a little bit more, but I do know that you said that this whole idea was interesting and you're just curious about it. Was there anything more that you wanted to chime in?
No, that seems good. I'm curious. I'm curious, and as I wrote in the qualifying notes coming in, you've impressed me very much. So I'm wanting to see you in action more.
Cool. Thank you for that. That's very nice. Yeah. Well, I'm thrilled you're here because likewise, I've enjoyed our interactions too. So one of the reasons I'm calling this a community call is because community is the key to individual success. And I want to create communities of success for all. And I want to do that a few ways. By one, introducing ways, tools, techniques that individuals can feel successful in their daily lives. Two, introducing ways, tools, and techniques communities can feel successful in their daily existence. And then three, I want to inspire others to discuss these ideas with their friends to grow these solutions that will then get us from where we are to where we want to be. And I think we all have individual talents that may seem like nothing to us, but to another, they are very impressive. And I would love to hear as you listen to the message today, think about, in relation to this message, who you are as far as your values and what you look forward in life, and what motivates you. What do you look forward to continue on? And then what comes easy to you? Like, what things you just do that you do, and maybe people criticize you for it. It comes so easily. And then conversely, what do you like to avoid? I ask you these things so that we can start building up community aspect of this call, and to learn who we are as peers and who we can reference to as an ally for helping others do good things. So as we continue on with these community calls and we build up our community, please do reach out to others. Please do leave notes about how community resources that you've discovered or that other people might be able to use, or if you're offering something. I really want to uplift the efforts that everyone is already doing today, which is what makes this whole idea possible. All right. Natural laws of the universe show a superior intelligence far beyond human understanding, giving us hope and guidance for the future. And that's a rough quote by Albert Einstein. I had AI dumb it down because the real quote was actually quite complicated. But the essence is that there are natural laws like gravity or starvation and seasons, and then there are man-made laws. And one is infinite, and one is infinite and infallible, and one is full of foible and lost hope, in my perspective. I was raised to question anything and everything because it was us against the world. And then I went away to college and I visited and worked in and lived in various countries around the world. And I delivered big software communication and security tools to large software companies and developed a lifestyle of those, like, living the dream. And yet I was not digging the experience. And I really wanted to know why. Because what I was doing was right. I was following the rules of the game. I had figured out how to succeed where so many others fail. And I saw my peers who were not as successful continue to struggle as we did in childhood. And I could work 3 times harder. I mean, they could work 3 times harder than me, but I was still making 3 times more than what they were making. And I had it good. So why was stuff wrong? Life continued, and then I moved my family to France, and through a comedy of errors, I found out why the root of everything in the U.S. is wrong, wrong, wrong. It turns out that we took the history of our forefathers in Europe and all their baggage and built this nation with it. And it makes me shake my head now, but it was quite a chore for me to allow myself to question the reality I was raised in and look beyond the propaganda. And believe me, it's everywhere for everyone. But I wanted to explore what truths I could personally snap to, because what I was taught growing up didn't match the world in my success. So I wanted to find where was my true north. If I couldn't go with the things that people had taught me growing up, what was I going to snap to going forward? I felt like I needed a purpose. Some days I really needed a will to live, and I wanted to live life beyond the shoulds I was told I should obey. So not only did I grow up very skeptical, I had some significant traumas along the way, and I am hard-pressed to trust anyone anymore, which is why I value my friends, because I do trust my friends wholeheartedly. So that's great. And now I'm learning to trust myself and to show up for myself because this is something I was not taught to do systemically. I was taught to hide my feelings, hide my emotions, hide my discomfort, make everyone else feel better, be there to serve other people. But I realized if I can't be there for myself, if I can't show up for myself, if I can't be fully present for others, like, I'm in a partial state offering only a shell of myself getting reflected to others. And I'm not in my full autonomy or my full capacity of who I came here to be. And I came here to be weird in a nutshell. Not that new way that came up recently in the media, but like the good classic weird where you make people laugh, have them question, rethink their life in a fun, playful way. I am the world's best enabler. It could be a good idea or a bad idea. If it sounds fun, I'm I'm right there to help you make some decisions. But this cult wouldn't be a thing if I hadn't found some consistency somewhere and some truth from somewhere and a reason to make sense of everything. And I went searching. I went searching to the ancient Greek and Roman philosophers, the esotericists, the neoliberals. I asked them questions and curious questions, and I checked for answers, and I found validity in my experience and the validity of others that I know. And I found patterns of consistency, sometimes consistently bullshit, or sometimes consistently unarguable. So, yes, we as humans can superpower our way above and beyond perceived limitations of natural laws, but that's all they are, I think, is perceptions of limitations within a framework of consistency. And I say that they're perceived and not absolute truths, even though I will put more faith in natural laws than I do my own mom, but she's an amazing woman. It's just because natural laws are that consistent. We only perceive gravity to be limiting us and holding us down on Earth. I mean, in reality, it is an element of 3D physical consciousness that we need to understand so that we can overcome it either through magnets or rocket ships or even eventually our personal vibes. So I think Albert was onto something when he said that natural laws give us hope and guidance for the future. It is these natural laws that provide the foundational basis for the story behind Not All Cults. So what stands in our way today? Why don't we use these natural laws? Because we got into the habit of creating man-made laws, ideas and strategies to keep us safe in uncertain times when we were filled with fear and scarcity. When we never knew when the next drought, the next invasion, or the next natural event would occur. So a quick history. We came up with isms, our last isms, over 200 years ago. Mercantilism, which was the predecessor to capitalism, which brought in explorations of socialism and communism. So we're long overdue for a new ism. And in this day of age of labeling everything, I'm ready to present this new ism as clearly as I can, and it's called the New Spring Paradigm. So it's not really an ism. Most of our world grief would disappear with different systems. In the US, we have gun violence, racism, plague management, climate change, economic inequality, healthcare, infrastructure, sexism, domestic and international terrorism, unemployment, education, violent crimes, and of course, our national debt. These are the result of our man-made laws. So yes, they are so much better today than they were 200 years ago. At least most everyone has heard the term human rights, if not actually had the pleasure of experiencing it at this point. Meanwhile, our human-based laws have a lot of room for improvement. And I'll gladly give gratitude and support for those that fought and preserved the freedoms to uphold the laws that keep us safe today, because things could definitely be way, way worse. So I'm not trying to throw balls and stones at what we have. We have what made sense at the time. I'm just saying that the times are new now, and there's different things that make sense. So if we don't change things, I think things will get much worse because inherently our current systems are unsustainable. They're unsustainable because they operate from a perspective of lack and inadequacy. So when you set up a game and determine all players lack qualities for success, like knowledge or resources or whatever, and or inadequate to tend for themselves because they're ignorant and not educated, you inherently create rules that reinforce these perspectives of incapable, ignorant people. We hear things like, well, we need laws to keep people in line, or we need prisons to keep criminals from offending. We need courts to tell people what to do. Definitely from the background we've lived and experiences, these are the ideas that we accept and we permit and we're complicit in validating. And I'm here to say they are outdated, harmful, unsustainable, and can be recreated into the opposite of what we experience today. Instead of facing work obligations, we can face hobby interactions. Instead of paying taxes to participate, we get to participate and get paid. Instead of running things off of fear and scarcity, we run things off of awareness and abundance. We get what we focus on, and the focus here is what we can do to make up our systems, flip from those that operate on fear and scarcity to ones that function on a premise of rewards and opportunity. What if we change the rules of the game? If we change the rules of the game, we could change the global experience. Mass pains of food inequality, scarcity, homelessness, genocide and wars, local political disputes, most of the grief as we know it could disappear. And I argue that they aren't going to be replaced by anything that we don't already experience, because this isn't a utopia. I'm not here to peddle false hopes at this point. I'm here to explain how we can easily change our systems using the things we already do today to set up new systems that make most of our life complaints go away. And it will not be a utopia, because once we can get our basic life needs met, like care and security and housing and food and social engagements, once we have our basic needs met, which cannot be achieved in our current systems of fear and scarcity, we will discover more fundamental human problems, ones that do not have capacity, that we don't, not many of us have the capacity to address in our world today, but would satiate many people's desire for to learn what their purpose is, kind of have that experience of what am I here for? What am I doing this for? But all that's down the road. And for now, there's no reason we are dying of stress with disease in this age of knowledge, wealth, and resources available like we have. It's just not that we have the diagnostic tools that we didn't have before. We are literally creating new diseases, cancers that come from special plasticizers and carcinogens we didn't have a couple of hundred years ago, plague us now like we never knew it would. So the point is, we know a lot more now 200 years later than we did 200 years ago. We have technology now that we didn't have 200 years ago. We have systems in place that we didn't have 200 years ago that could be easily modified to provide for us for the next 200 years, or until we have more capacity for more refinement. So why bother? Why bother with this change? Because it's personal. In the US, any one of us could be the next person SOL and financially destroyed because of a medical emergency. And without finances in America, your only option is jail down in the end. Your ultimate option is jail, or our number one welfare industry in the nation, for corporations, that is. I mean, for the rest of us individuals, it's just prison. There are problems, pain, grief, many of us would like to avoid and cannot, because our systems are built on fear and scarcity. This is why we bother caring about making change and being the change that we want to see in the world. The reason for hope and renewal. Our systems today operate on ideas of fear and scarcity. It makes sense because we didn't know what we were doing before, and now we do. So thanks, technology. How many of you have heard that individuals are flawed? That individuals are drains on society? That we're too dependent on the state for our well-being, and that we need to punish individuals for certain behaviors like bankruptcy and speed limit laws, that we need to punish. So how many of you have heard that individuals are flawed, that individuals are drains on society, that we are too dependent on the state for our well-being, that we need to punish individuals for certain behaviors, that only the results matter, not the means to the end? Our ecology is deteriorating, but our economy thrives. So we're doing great. This is how many of us were raised. It's common thought. It's what we do. And yet evidence after evidence after evidence says that these things function, but they do so at our detriment. Viewing people as flawed is like putting a fish in a tree and saying it's unnatural. Let me repeat that. Viewing people as flawed is like putting a fish in a tree and saying it's unnatural. Like, people are perfectly human, okay? each one with our unique individual perception and opinion, are perfect as we are, perfectly human. We only think everyone thinks the same as us because we are raised to think the same. We have emotions, we make mistakes, we hurt each other. Yet in times of crisis, what brings better healing and recovery? Most of us would say it's providing support for those that need it, but our systems focus on vindication and punishments for people at fault. In our systems today, we put our energy focusing on the evildoer with minimal support for victims. What we get is what we focus on. And if we create rules and regulations to catch people acting in unsatisfactory ways, we punish them, especially if they are poor. I mean, not so much if you're rich. If you're rich, you can just buy the judges and rig the system. And here we are today. How many of us get angry at the lazy person panhandling on the street, or the kids not willing to work these days? I mean, they are perceived as lazy and drains on society, expecting others to take care of them, right? Well, in order to be a drain on society, a system has to have value in you, and the individual becomes a waste in an otherwise flowing system. Like, drains on society deplete the system, yet the system wouldn't work without individuals. So there's an inherent conflict of interest here. Do you see? What if instead our systems today were simply unsustainable and poorly developed, and inadequate to help the individual? In fact, they were not set up to help the individual. They were set up to control the individual so that the state could maintain its power and authority over the masses. Yes. What about this need to control the masses? They get so unruly and out of hand. Well, it turns out that the masses, by and large, are really great individuals, kind and caring, wanting good things for themselves and their loved ones. It's under situations of duress, dissent, and discontent we see violence and aggravated actions of individuals against each other. Our systems foster these things to compel us into complicity. Individuals aren't drains. Our systems are. They drain our individual autonomy, our energy, our health, our will to do and be good in the world that we wish to see. What about having too much reliance on the state? Wouldn't it be best if we were autonomous and independent? It would be great if we were autonomous and independent, but we cannot do that without a strong state of healthy, sustainable utility management, of infrastructure coordination, of community assistance in times of disaster. Like, to say we can have fulfilling lives in a modern age without a strong state is lunacy. We need fuel to power our toys, factories to make our favorite clothing and gadgets. None of this would function without standards and processes to connect and coordinate the individuals behind the industry. This is achieved through a strong state. But we don't have strong states like we've modeled them in the past. In the past, we didn't know what we were doing. We know things today that we did not know 200 years ago. We didn't have city sewers. Well, heck, we didn't even have that 60 years ago in a lot of places across the nation. We didn't have city sewers. We didn't wash our hands. We didn't know what La Nina was or what it would bring. And by we, I mean us white Westerners, because I'm talking to the white Western world. You are my audience, and I speak to you. The fact is, many of us, maybe all of us, need reasons for hope at this point. So many of us simply just want to see things get better. We want to live in a world that says, instead of flawed, we are all perfectly human. Instead of drains on society, we are all individually valued. Instead of dependence, we have autonomy. Instead of laws to penalize bad behaviors, we have human rights to celebrate good behaviors. Instead of systems of punishment, we have systems of rewards. Instead of valuing the output, we value the input. Instead of biased systems, we have balanced systems. Instead of inflexible systems, we have dynamic systems. Instead of fashion-minded driven, we're going to be fact-driven. Every day is a chance to rise up and find hope. New systems afford new hope, and hope is the fuel for those that are running on fumes. Fumes from exhaustion, showing up for ourselves, showing up for our families, showing up for our communities, showing up for our employers. We live in systems that demand we show ourselves worthy and capable to receive the luxuries and benefit reserved for the fortunate few. Not all humans are showmen. There's no need to have systems that demand someone show their worth and receive their due value. There's every reason to create systems that can assist all individuals regardless their character and characteristics. From the invalid with a brilliant mind to the baby with only pure potential, everyone in their exact condition retains value, and that deserves to be recognized. No questions asked, no explanations needed, just pure acceptance. You are here, you are valuable, you deserve a nice experience, and here's the basics of what you need to survive handed to you. You go make the best of it. That's what the New Spring Paradigm does. It operates on 4 principles to make systems opposite of what they are today. They can be applied to any and all things, and doing so will help ensure that our output supports the intent of NSP. Those 4 things are: first, we have to recognize that each individual in their in exact condition as they are has intrinsic value regardless their character, regardless their characteristics. According to one law, all people, in fact, this one law is very pervasive in cultures around the world. And it says that all people have inherent rights conferred not by act of legislation, but by nature. Perhaps the right not to get killed. That might be a nice right to have. Everyone in their exact condition retains value that deserves to be recognized. No questions asked, no explanations needed. All humans are worthy of possessing human rights, regardless their deeds or description. All humans are worthy to have fair access to goods and services that make daily living a choice, not a chore. All humans are worthy of downtime and leisure and extravagance and pleasure. All humans are worthy of having autonomy to operate and function according to their inner drive within the bounds of respecting absolute autonomy of others. There are fundamental truths that, when honored, create the safety net needed to keep us safe and secure as individuals, as communities, and society, while affording individual autonomy as never conceived before in the Western world. And to achieve this, we must first recognize that this needs to apply to all equally. Every individual has intrinsic value, regardless character or characteristics. Next, we have technical systems that provide support and access to all equally. The law of unity says everything in the universe is interconnected and no individual or action exists in isolation. The well-being of one part naturally impacts the whole. The antithesis of that is true too. NSP ISP, NSP Care, NSP Amazing Online, NSP NetBits Entertainment, NSP Delivery Service, NSP League. 6 technically driven platforms of the future will help us live our dreams of individual autonomy and access and rewards for all. With the core 4 principles at the root of every configuration, using the reliability and consistency of natural laws to guide and lead the way, we can easily simply reconfigure the technology we use every day, the systems we use every day, and make it so they work for systems of access and rewards rather than what we deal with today. NSP ISP is the open source technical framework that unites and coordinates other platforms that surfaces all the individual work that everyone is already doing outside of state jurisdictions with tools and resources, providing equal access to all that can provide individuals what they need to do what they want. NSP cares all things health, housing, and mental support, physical assistance. If it keeps an individual in good condition, it is supported by NSP Cares. NSP Amazing Online, the all-up marketplace infrastructure to do all things commerce, education, community, or individual. No recreating the wheel, no random rules for some and not others, just simple access to what individuals want to access. NetBits Entertainment, the creative clearinghouse for individuals to collaborate and create without barriers to entry we face every day, with cooperating platforms that give profit to the creator while the more people that experience it generates wealth for the originating artist. NSP delivery service that manages all things transportation, shipping, and receiving. Comprehensive awareness is of what is where, accessible, and where, to whom. Personal transportation solutions, public transportation solutions, global transportation solutions. NSP League, the human meets individual technical association oversight, where individuals get to have a say, equal say, where opinions remain open and core tenets that make NSP work are upheld. Elements of all these things are in play today. They just operate by rules that treat some better than others. You may recognize some of the names, they may sound familiar, and it should, but these technical solutions of the future are not mysteries. They are around us in use every day. We can embrace them and we can change them. Next step is what we would need is all production and consumption is sustainably managed. The law of cause and effect says every action shapes our shared future. When production and consumption are managed with care, they create ripple effects of abundance, renewal, and harmony that sustain the systems we all rely on. What's the reason we have ecological challenges today? Consumerism? Corporate greed? It's because there's not enough profit in sustainability. They made refrigerators that would last for over 50 years, 100 years ago, but we don't have that quality today because there's more profit in selling cheap versions that will break every 3 to 5 years. This isn't conspiracy theory stuff. This is straight up economics. Opportunity cost, supply and demand. For a profit-driven economy where more profit equals more reward, waste products are discarded, repurposed, recreated in the first place. We consume to the point of excess. Islands of trash floating in our oceans because we wanted more profit. Profit is what drives our success today. We buy to satiate emotional cravings that we cannot get satiated in any other way. If you create systems from sustainable foundations, ecological security becomes the driver of success. To access clean water, fresh, pollution-free air, quiet evenings, and dark nights, we wouldn't have to be turned on and plugged in 24/7 if we didn't want to be, though we could if we did. Change our systems from profit-driven to resource-valued, and we suddenly have sustainable solutions everywhere we look with no drama about cost, responsibility, and profit. The fourth principle that gets us to a new spring paradigm is that all decisions are based on generosity and access for all. The law of abundance says the universe operates on principles of unlimited potential and sufficiency. Scarcity is a perception, not a natural reality. When generosity and access are prioritized, resources flow freely, multiplying rather than depleting. I promise you, you give this a try. You start approaching life according to the law of abundance, and you will see things change. It's just like when you start playing slug bug, all of a sudden you start seeing those V-dubs. Start focusing on what you want, and you will see it come your way. The only limitations we've run into are the limitations that we put on ourselves. We can create systems that eliminate barriers to entry, true open markets, open source technology that all can align to, eliminating proprietary waste. Where we get paid to get educated, where we get paid to share our talents with others, where we get paid simply to exist. There's enough resources, enough knowledge to provide for all individuals sustainably with no limits if we make a few tweaks to our systems. What would be one thing that you could change? What would you like to see change? How does it impact you? How does it impact others? How would you like to see it fixed? I'll let you know how NSP would address any issue that comes up, and you let me know if it's a satisfactory solution. Tell me a problem, and I'll tell you how it's tied to fear and scarcity in our systems. Now, careful, this could get into a debate, but just for time's sake, let's pretend I've thought this through and would win any attempted debate. Just throw out your pet grief if you wish would go away, and I'll tell you what in our systems permit that to exist and if NSP can make it go away. Systems. Let's see how to make these changes. What will it take to create systems based on these 4 principles? A, try to adopt the attitude of the 4 principles in your own life. You are valuable and deserve human rights outside the life of shoulds. We have systems we use today to make life better. Use them. Help others use them. Make sustainable choices. Stop doing what drains you. And faced with any decision, go by what is the most loving decision in that moment and see what that takes you. Be the change you want to see. It starts with you and your perspective. Next, grow in awareness. Network and share with others. Find and share efforts to ensure others are getting access to what they need. Promote the ideas of NSP to others to let them know how easy change is and how it's a possible choice. Think of ways you can create NSP systems in your life. And C, this will take a village, a collective of people interested and committing to acting according to the norms of rewards and abundance for all. The cult needs you. So C, contribute to the NSP efforts. Build up with the cult. We need a webmaster, social media presence, business administration, membership coordination, community coordination, fundraising captains. Your special talent here. We would love to see your participation. Thank you so much for being here today. What a fun treat. If you would like to get further involved, please reach out to me, Marie Walter, also known as Natural Thinker Online. And if you want a place for merch, there's a place for merch at notallcults.fun. Thank you, technology, for getting that set up. And here's just a few more notes. Thank you for being here today. I appreciate your time.